The brain prioritizes, of course, keeping us alive. So anything that has stress chemicals attached to it are going to take priority. If you have a negative experience and a positive experience, your brain is automatically going to remember the negative experience because it's got stress chemicals attached to it. And those stress chemicals signal to the brain, this is important. I have to remember this to stay alive. Hello, Swasti.
Hi.
Hey,
Hi.
how are you today?
Sorry I missed last week's thing. I didn't realize the time change.
Oh, yes, I forgot that. Yes, that's right. It's all
Lol.
right. It's confusing
Yeah.
because we change our clocks go back just 1 week after you.
Yeah, so now it's back to normal. Huh. Okay. So I wanted to share something. Basically I realized like last week. I feel like with this work, especially as there are a lot of like new people, the thing is like I don't know if you can offer obviously your view on this, but I think that people struggle to get results because of the emotional side. Like this is where I struggle sometimes. It's like the emotions aren't strong enough, or you haven't put enough detail in, and that makes sense. Like you say, with like when it doesn't override the negative, like your brain is not going to remember it. When you try to recall the memory, nothing's going to come up because you haven't put emotion in it. And so like if there's no emotion, you won't remember it. It won't be in your subconscious. It's not in your childhood. So just like a little reminder, because I forget that. I just sit there and I visualize. I can't feel anything. I can see it, but I'm like, what am I actually feeling from this? Yeah.
That's
And
right.
then, yeah,
Can I just
yeah,
chip in there for a moment? So, Swasti, first of all, thank you for that. Thank you for that reminder. And you're right. That is something that is very often overlooked. And I know I probably don't stress it enough as well. And so, just to kind of give a little bit more detail there for new people, especially, and for those who may have forgotten, the brain prioritizes, of course, keeping us alive. So anything that has stress chemicals attached to it are going to take priority. If you have a negative experience and a positive experience, your brain is automatically going to remember the negative experience because it's got stress chemicals attached to it. And those stress chemicals signal to the brain, this is important. I have to remember this to stay alive. The good stuff, not so much. Now, if there's no negative stuff, then yes, you'll remember the good stuff. So it's about, like Swasti said, making sure that the good stuff is strong enough to override the bad stuff. Just on a kind of more technical level, the brain prioritizes memories that have adrenaline attached to them, specifically for long-term storage while you sleep. So adrenaline is not only negative, adrenaline can be attached to positive stuff as well. So that's why in your new memories, it's not enough for it to just feel nice or okay, or it wasn't negative, or that's nice. It needs to be, it needs to have that lift, that excitement, or it's open heart, that feeling of, so in other words, instead of just we went to the park instead of the bad thing, it's we went to the park, there was a fun fair there, and there were horses we could ride, and there was a celebrity, and those kinds of things. You don't have to have all of that, but whatever would give you that lift. So
yeah,
does that kind of cover it, Swasti?
yeah, definitely. And it's like I realize that that comes from what's specific to you, because sometimes when you say, "Can you create that general feeling?" I can, but that feels fake because that's not me. I know specifically what works for me and what my parents were like or are like now. Therefore, what will create my strongest feeling and what my details will be. Like me going to the park, I love that. Me going in a swimming pool is not the same thing. Like,
Right.
so
Yeah.
yeah, that kind of thing.
Perfect. That's spot on. Really good point. Yes. So
Yeah,
each person come up with what would make you feel that lift. And if you have trouble, so some people can't think of anything, ask me, reach out for help and I'll help you find something, whatever it would be. An extra reminder is just to remember that it doesn't have to be realistic. So it can be anywhere in the world or a fantasy world. It can involve magic. It can involve flying. It can involve anything at all. So you don't have to limit yourself. I think Harriet has
Yeah.
a question before we move forward.
Yeah, just a quick question to those memories, or any memories, actually. That does not mean that we don't remember neutral memories. And
Right.
right? I mean, yeah, it could be that my
Absolutely.
sister brings something up and I say, oh God, I totally forgot about it.
Absolutely.
However,
So
then the way she brings it up could make it a negative, a positive memory for me, right? Let's just say Christmas 1975. And she would say, remember that Christmas where we had to take the red tablecloth off and put the green one on? And it could be totally, yeah, oh yeah, I totally forgot about it. It was a special year for the color of the whatever
right.
tablecloth. And then if she said, oh, I always hated that green, or whatever color I just said, I
Yeah.
hated that green, and it had spots on it. So when she does that, could that give me then a negative memory to that, depending on how I react, right?
I see what you mean. Depending on your references. So not
Oh
so much
God, yes,
depending on how you react, because
of
how you
course.
react will
Yeah,
depend on your references.
yeah,
Yeah.
of
So
course. Sorry, yeah.
that's
Oh,
it. So if
good.
you've got other references that are triggered by that
Yeah,
comment or
yeah,
the way
yeah,
she
yeah,
said
yeah,
it or
yeah.
that, yes,
Yes. I
absolutely.
always have to
And
think further. Yes,
that's right. And
yes,
also just to clarify as well, like with neutral memories, if nothing negative happened and you're just remembering something that's a matter of fact and it's not particularly emotional, we absolutely can remember that. It's just that negative ones will generally override them if they are negative. So for example,
yes, yes.
my sister remembers a lot more from our childhood than I do. And she mentioned this orange shag carpet that used to be in the lounge when we were kids. And I just never thought of it, completely forgotten about it. But as soon as she mentioned it, I remembered what it looked like. I remembered the feel of it and everything, but there's no emotions attached to it. It's just a
Yeah.
memory.
Well then,
Oh,
orange
very
shack carpet. Okay.
It was the orange shag carpet, and then there was a brass tall standing lamp with like canvas in stuck on the inside of it with patterns, and we used to push through the holes. And I mean, effectively, we were unsticking the thing, but we didn't know. It just felt nice to push through the holes. That was the other thing she mentioned. Sorry, Deborah, you wanted to. There
Yeah,
you
here I
go.
am. We had green shag carpet. I remember, like
Oh, did
we
you?
had we had an orange feature wall and the green shag carpet, and I'm like, what in the world was that?
Yeah. It's something that seems so strange nowadays, but back then apparently it must have been, popular for whatever
The
reason.
end thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
It
I think
really is.
sometimes with processing these things is like you have to have the memory. The memory has to be either a good memory or a bad memory. But then you like when you start down that path, like you just have to be patient, I find. Like because otherwise, every bad one could just blow up in your face. And it's like I try to be careful what memory I choose from because it can make or break your day. To if it's a bad memory and you have like five bad memories, it's like, oh my God, like, to just be patient with yourself because you can't just jump in to the water of those five things and still maintain a positive outlook sometimes.
Thank you for mentioning this. I think it's going to depend very much on the individual and the
Mm,
particular memories. I know
yep.
when I started doing this, I was just changing all the memory. I found it really quick and easy to change even the really bad memories. And that was because I'd already been practicing the superpower. And so I was in the superpower state most of the time. So for me, bad memories were not that difficult to change, but certainly any trauma memories and any memories that take you off down another road. So, starting to think of certain things where it can then lead to connected memories that are also then it's a whole like atmosphere. You're back in time suddenly because
Right.
you're
Well,
producing
mine
those
seemed to be
memories.
a part of like I sort of have managed the stuff through like my parents and all that stuff. And it's just like sometimes something happens and it just, a light goes on and it's like, wow, where is that? Like, do I even want to think about that? And, it's just some random thing. It's not related to them. It's just a me issue. And I'm like, okay, so trying to like just figure where all that comes from. But it's like I have to give myself patience. I make little notes and I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
we'll
that's
we'll think about that.
And so your main point of being patient with yourself is so crucial. That really is spot on. And it's important for everyone to know that. Be patient with yourself, and you don't have to address absolutely everything. And make sure that you're in a good feeling state before you do. So, in other
Yeah,
words, if you're going to address negative memories or even do detective work looking for them, make sure you get into a feel good state first, so
right.
that you're coming. So it's like you're going in to fight a fire. You want to make sure you're wearing the outfit. You're not just walking in. So so very good. Thank you for that, Deborah. That's a good
Yeah.
important